Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Box Score Sports YouTube channel. This is going to be a clip of the 76ers trading away Paul George and getting Jaylen Brown. And they also gave up, the Celtics got two, let's see here. They received a 28 first-round pick that's convertible to a swap and an unprotected 31 pick and two second-round picks. Clint's with me. We'll talk a little bit about that. If you're hearing this on the podcast, this is going to be in front of our podcast we did before this move happened. Clint, it's coming fast and furious right now.
Woo! Holy cow. Like I just told you, I was pulling into where I'm at and I see the alert go off and it was, I mean, it's not Luka level, but it was close to like, am I reading this right? Paul George? Is that what they're trading for Paul George with Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, so we'll dive into it. What's funny is I'm going to be posting the thoughts we had on the Mitchell Robinson move. I haven't posted that yet on YouTube, but when I do, it's going to be already out of date because of this move. So let's get into this move. Like I said, Paul George, he goes to the Celtics along with 2 seconds, unprotected first in 2031, and a 28 converted to a swap possibility for the Celtics. And Philadelphia gets Jaylen Brown. So let's take it from both teams' angle real quick. Let's start maybe with the 76ers. What are your thoughts of the 76ers making this trade to get Jaylen Brown?
Your mileage on Jaylen Brown might vary.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, this feels like a home run.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent last year, we probably mentioned it in our exit interview, to get off of Paul George, we thought would at least cost you a pick, right?
Right.
He's got this year and a player option. Guess what? He's going to pick up the player option.
Yeah, 100%.
That alone you thought was trouble. But to be able to turn it to Jaylen Brown, you know, who, again, isn't old, plays a ton. Paul George doesn't. We've seen that. Regardless, I think this is a shot you take because similar, we talked about it with Walker Kessler. In this case, this can vault you into being like a contender in the East. Like you vault up to the possibility of being a top 4 seed. Take the chance. You're getting younger. You're getting off an older guy. I know Jaylen Brown has his issues, and we obviously see that in this return, but I think this is a risk you take if you're Philly.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I actually kind of like it for both sides. We'll talk a little bit about the Boston side. I don't like it as much for the Boston side. But I do like the risk that Philly's taking. Like you said, 27. One again. Say what you want about him. He's a top 15 player in this league, right? Do we agree on that? Am I?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. He's a top 15 player in this league. Now you pair him with Maxey and VJ, and then Embiid when he's healthy. Embiid becomes a little less important to be starting all the time when you have two guys like Brown and Maxey. I think that's a positive. So overall, I do like it for Philadelphia. It's a kind of a risk, but it's a good risk. Like this is a good risk for them to be taking.
Yeah, and I think it does a great job of if Embiid. I mean, obviously he's not going to play that many games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was the problem with the Sixers? Like when Embiid didn't play, they became like a one-trick pony, and it was really difficult. You throw in another guy that you can count on. He's gonna play. Like he hasn't had injury, injury problems his whole career. And it gives you another option, like a wing. This is a wing-sized guy you're wanting to, that you always want in this league, and he's what 8 years younger than Paul George.
Yeah, agreed. It sort of reminds you a little of the Darius, not to the same extent, but like the James Harden for Darius Garland trade. But I think because like I just like that trade for the Clippers, and that's why I like it for Philadelphia. Now, the one thing I will say, if you're going to say one concern with this team, is there is only one ball, and Brown likes to have the ball in his hands. Maxey's the same way. I watched a lot of Maxey last couple of years because, as you know, I watch a lot of Paul George because of Luke. And Embiid, when he's in there, that offense funnels through him. So I think, and then VJ also he took like steps along the way this season. He was very good with the ball. I don't know how that's going to affect VJ's development. And I just don't know. I guess it's going to be really interesting to see how Nick Nurse gets these guys to play together because this is really like, hey, we're going to set ball screens with Maxey or we're going to let Embiid work in the post. And that's why Tobias Harris looks a little better on the Pistons than he did the 76ers, right? So I think it's going to be interesting how they make this work. It's kind of a concern, a small concern I do have is how you get all these guys enough reps with the ball.
No, you are correct in that you do have the does it turn into your turn, my turn type of thing with the three of them. I think Edgecombe will be fine. I think he's more of a off-ball type of guy anyhow, but his shooting, has to improve if
Right.
he's going to full-time that role. And I think the player that needs to adjust the most is Embiid. Like
Right.
we have to get out of the like dump it in the post and everyone stand there. We can use him in the post. Jaylen Brown is good at like cutting, getting in the paint and that. But that is a concern. You hope that for the sake of any one of these three, that you go, hey, this is probably by far our best chance. Someone's got to sacrifice. Embiid, Max is going to have to give up a little too. But I think if all three of these guys, all four, including Edgecombe, have their head on correct, this is a golden shot that you have in the Eastern Conference as we stand right now. Don't blow it. Like, let's work it together, figure it out. But you are right. There could be some growing pains early in the year.
Right, because their offense when Embiid's out there is really your turn, my turn. Okay, Maxey's let's do this. Okay, now it's Embiid, and that's why I think it's really hard to play with them too. So I wonder, like, can you convince Embiid to be like, listen, dude, we just need you to be that stretch five and let the other two guys handle the ball more, and then like maybe in big moments we'll get you in the post a little bit or whatever. But like our offense has to center around Brown and Maxey now. So we'll see what happens. Any other thoughts on the 76er side of it?
Um, no, I don't think so. I just, it's always a team that comes out of nowhere, it seems like, and we have the Sixers.
Yeah, they are a title contender at this point. So let's look at the Celtics, who also will probably still, just because of how awesome their roster is, going to be a title contender. They get Paul George, they get a couple picks, first and second round. Um, what's your thoughts on that side of the ball? I mean, for them, I should say, the Celtics.
Yeah. For the Celtics, this is like shocking. I mean,
Mhm.
we just recorded earlier talking about not wanting to give up Hugo Gonzalez or Baylor Shireman to get you Giannis, and you turn around and I mean, there has to be something more to this Jaylen Brown situation that they. I don't want to say dump him, but like Walker Kessler went went for more than this, right? Um, for Boston, it's kind of perplexing. I get you want to replace a forward with a forward in their case, right? Paul George is low volume, but he's more efficient than Jaylen Brown. He's a little better of a shooter. So you're not losing, like the bottom's not falling out in that regard, but you are taking a big health risk.
Yeah.
36 years old. Like, I mean, Paul George until the 25 game suspension. Like, I mean, he played a lot last year, but uh, it's almost hard to fathom. Like, that's why it was so shocking. It's hard to fathom that we've been talking about this. You watch ESPN, you listen to podcasts, and it's a lot of Celtics guy, and they're just like 4 first round picks. Jaylen Brown, Bill Simmons is like, oh, is Giannis better than Jaylen Brown? Like, he throws it in there, and you're like, you go through all of this, and then you see Paul George in 2 firsts, and you just like, it's hard to wrap your head around. Like, cause like you said, your mileage may vary on Jaylen Brown, but he's a top 15, 20 player in this league, and that seems like a really low return.
Yeah. So obviously, so just some pros. So they'll add Paul George is still a good defender and, like you said, efficient shooter. So that's it. He's definitely more of a team guy than Jaylen Brown is. He moves the ball a little better, and he still can kind of show up at times. The problem is like if something happens to Tatum, he's not the type of player anymore that can carry your offense like Brown could, like, be that guy. And maybe the Celtics don't want that guy, but that I think will be a hit. Like he's not going to take the Celtics to 60 wins without Tatum the way Brown did, right? Um, the other thing, and I know people will be like, well, the on-off numbers and the bench and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, yeah, the bench, when the bench plays the bench guys, your bench is better. That makes sense. But like, you got Brown. He is your closer. He was what in the MVP race for a reason. Um, Now, I think the other concern is the injury stuff. And then the other thought I had, well, does this provide cap relief? It doesn't. So it is a baffling trade a little bit just because unless if I don't know if they'll be willing to like do another move to get cap relief, but it's like it's either get off Brown, but the other way we were sold that Brown might be moved is to get a little cap relief, and they didn't do that with this trade either.
I agree. Like their contracts are, I think Paul George makes a couple million more for this year or vice versa. I know they're really close. It basically washes out almost, but
yeah,
you're right. You're adding the risk. Like we talked about Mitchell Robinson before, which is what they need. But again, another guy that has some injury risk, right? Like he's probably not going to play a ton of minutes. And Paul George, you don't want to play a ton of minutes as much as his skill set really fits in. Basketball fit wise, if you took out what was involved in this trade, if you're like Paul George on the Celtics, you're like, I get it. I mean, he's a good shooter. He's still a good defender. He can do a little bit with the ball, but he is more of a dependent player, which will fit their system. Jaylen Brown really helped out last year because even though his efficiency dropped, the guy can get to a spot, the guy can get shots up, the guy can put up stats. And when you don't have Tatum or Tatum struggling, now your backup isn't a guy that you can just throw the ball to and say, get us a 15-foot shot, even if, the analytics guys hate it. Jaylen Brown's going to get you that at a decent efficiency. Paul George isn't going to do that anymore. And again, you kind of like maybe your floor drops, and I think your ceiling drops a little when you do this, barring any further moves.
Yeah, correct. As far as in the health risk, there is I was going to say something. You said something, and I was like, yeah, that's a good point, and I can't. Must not have been that good. Oh, the gravity. That's what I was thinking. So when you were talking about Brown has a gravity that Paul George won't. So like sometimes like in the playoffs, Brown would post up and it just opens everybody up, like because people are closing in on Brown, right? Like Paul George isn't going to have that type of gravity. So but it's the same with Brunson has more gravity, but you understand what I'm saying? Like it's the same with some of these players. They just get a lot more attention than others, which opens up other opportunities on the court for other players. I think they lose that too with adding Paul George versus having Jaylen Brown. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point with, there's a whole analytics debate again going on this week. And I understand that the drawback of Jaylen Brown, but what you just said is important. Like when he gets the ball, even if it's in an inefficient area or he doesn't get to a great shot, like attention goes to him.
Mm-hmm.
If you're throwing it to Paul George 18 feet from the hoop, like no offense, you're not running two guys at him because you're worried that he's going to dribble by and cross up and get to the hoop for a dunk or something. Like he might only do that once or twice. Jaylen Brown teams are like thinking of, maybe they'll shade someone, you get the corner three, so on and so forth. So I think those are the things that lie beneath the numbers because, I was just listening to something before we did this, like Paul George is, he's a better shooter, he's more efficient at some of these things. And you're like, right, but it's a lot lower volume because he can't carry the load anymore that Jaylen Brown can.
And his shots are probably a little bit more easier to make than the shots Brown sometimes has to take. And I think with the gravity, it also leads to offensive rebounds because players are staring at him. It allows the Celtics to crash the boards too. Okay. So final, I guess, you grade it? Like what?
I'll give it an A minus for the Sixers. There is still some downside to us, but I think it's a risk worth taking, barring all the circumstances, time, conference, and that. For the Celtics, on face value right now, I think it's like a D.
Okay.
I just think because you went from, we're talking about Jaylen Brown for Giannis.
Yeah.
We went from that bar to the jokes we've made with not throwing in some young guys to then like swapping them for Paul George and like 2 picks. One could be pretty good, one might not. Not, no salary relief. You didn't get younger. It seems like a precipitous fall where the Celtics just obviously overestimated his value or overestimated. I think they kind of got too cute with themselves.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think the Celtics are one of those teams that kind of thinks they're always the smartest guy at the table. And I think they thought they could bait the Hawks, the Blazers into a Jaylen Brown trade, and similar to what we're talking about with Jalen Duren. If 2 teams are like, nah, we're good, the cat's out of the bag, and Jaylen Brown, obviously behind doors, was not happy.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd give him a little bit higher than a D, but I get why you would. But definitely an A- for the 76ers. There's just that little thing I talked about, but I overall liked it. Luke, Paul George fan, he comes on the podcast every now and then. He's like, I hope this is a move to set up another move where the Celtics trade Paul George. That's what he said, because he's not a big Boston fan. And he's like, I gotta buy a jersey now.
Yeah, no, I was gonna text him to be like, ooh, are we getting a Celtics jersey? But yeah, it's always rough, when your favorite player goes to a team that you don't like.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm like, I told him, I'm like, I can't wait till you talk yourself into these players like Hugo Gonzalez and Jordan Walsh and all those guys. Okay, anything else?
No, I'll just be excited to like listen to like all these Celtics guys that have
I can't wait till Bill posts his pod.
I don't know if you saw, he tweeted that he isn't recording until 8 a.m. tomorrow.
That's fair. He's probably got to go drink it off or whatever.
Yeah. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of like, excuses and so on and so forth, how teams, justify it. But as a bitter Bucks fan, we went through the whole Giannis thing, and we kind of drugged the Bucks through the whole process that way they went through to just kind of see like, hey, even these good front offices drop the ball. And I think this is a case where, like you said, barring help, the Celtics would probably be so good team.
Yeah.
But you took a very good asset and you put a lot of risk on it. And, who knows, maybe they take some of these picks and get Trey Murphy, and you can kind of like justify yourself into it. But I just think it's kind of like shocking to see how we got from Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez stopping Giannis to the Celtics to where we are right now. But that's the NBA, and that's why this is exciting.
Yeah, I will say that if Paul George can stay healthy, if Mitchell Robinson can stay healthy, I don't think like the East is that strong where they can't contend. But that's huge ifs. And also, I will say this also could be a way to, I forgot to mention this. I was going to end the pod, but where they want to develop maybe Hugo and Walsh and Shireman, and Jaylen Brown is not like a player that's going to let you do that. Where I think with Paul George, if they keep him, it leaves that opportunity open where they can develop their young talent. So I just want to end it there, I guess.
Hugo better develop.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be crazy. Okay, for everybody else listening, let us know in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube, what your thoughts on the trade. Did we give it a fair grade? Did we not? And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.